Hey everyone, and welcome to this video. It's called EcoVadis. Should I do it in-house versus using a consultant? So what actually works? A lot of times companies get this invitation from one of their big customers that says, hey, you're going to need to do this supplier thing for us, which is do an EcoVadis questionnaire and get a score or rating. And oftentimes people will just start and do it in house. Sometimes during that process, they'll realize there's a lot of questions and they'll reach out to figure out what consultants are around. There's a lot of awesome training partners and consultants listed on the EcoVadis website that have gone through a couple of training pieces, have done their own EcoVadis questionnaire, and now have been accepted as an approved EcoVadis training partner. So you can go look. So weighing the pros and cons of just doing it in-house versus investing in having a third party or consultant come help you, that's what this video is all about. So what is EcoVadis? Quick explainer. If you've seen my videos before, you've heard what EcoVadis is. EcoVadis is a supplier sustainability rating platform. It's done for companies all around the world, and oftentimes these larger companies like AstraZeneca or General Motors and so on ask their suppliers to fill out EcoVadis. And EcoVadis will look at a couple of topics and then give that company, your company maybe, the score or rating that you can then give back to your large customer. So that's typically how it works. It's annual. So once you do it once, you do it every 12 months. So who asks for EcoVadis? I explained that AstraZeneca does, General Motors. It's some of the largest companies around the world need EcoVadis. And there's a bunch of them. It's in pharma, it's in manufacturing. I've seen it in retail. I've seen it in tech, some of the big tech companies in the world, even in logistics, transportation, and so on. So it's really all over the place. So what are the 4 pillars that EcoVadis asks your company to talk about or show them about? Here we go. The environment, labor and human rights, ethics, and sustainable procurement, which means your own suppliers. So we could dive into these topics, but there are other videos I've created before that help. By the way, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Lindsay Hampson. I'm the president of a company called This Rock. We're actually one of those EcoVadis consultants that have been approved by EcoVadis. So I've been doing this a bunch of times, helped submit a lot of EcoVadis submissions for companies all over the world in those industries I already talked about. We've helped over 60 companies now since we started our business a couple of years ago. Okay, so what does it take to do it in-house if you don't want to use a consultant? It's possible. I've seen it before. But what happens is it's more work than you think. So maybe this got handed to you. Maybe that you're the head of HR or Q&A. Maybe you're the head of ops. Maybe you're the finance person, or maybe you're the owner of a business and you've been handed EcoVadis to figure out. So there's a couple of steps if you're going to do it alone or in-house or DIY. Step 1 is you got to have some policies or commitment documents across those 4 areas I mentioned: environment, labor, ethics, and procurement. Now, they can likely be the ones you already have as a business. If your business is smaller, maybe you don't have these yet, so you'll need to write them. What do you put in the policies? Well, EcoVadis explains what they're looking for in each of the sections when you're inside their portal. They want quantitative and qualitative commitments, baselines, and targets across the key themes or issues that they think are important for your business based on industry size and location. They also want each commitment or policy to have the scope, like how many sites, does this cover all employees? How often is it reviewed, and so on. So there's a couple more pieces of the pie. Plus, you need a date on it and your logo. And that policy has to be in place for a minimum 3 months. And it can't be too old either. So that's 1. Number 2 is measures. You got to prove you do it across those 4 areas. And inside each of those key themes, what you want to do is say yes to 3 or 4 action items or initiatives per key issue. So it's getting a little complex here. There's a lot of pulling of invoices. For example, if you switched out some AC or manufacturing equipment, awesome. That's something you did to save energy, but we got to prove it to EcoVadis. So you could pull that. If you train your people in health and safety, that's another action. We'll get that training deck, make sure there's a date on it, and load it into the measure section under health and safety under labor. So the measure part can actually take a long time. And as you can tell, I'm not dealing in one department. I'm dealing with a bunch of different areas of your business. It's about like hoarding everybody to help you. The next part is reporting. This is the data part. So, across those four themes, you're going to want to start pulling data for a baseline year. So, this could be energy consumption in kilowatt hours across all your sites by month, and then totaling it. It could be water, it could be the tonnage of waste, and so on. So, you can tell there's a lot here. Natural gas, it could be mileage of your cars. You want to make a table, and then you got to do that for the three other sections too. So, labor and human rights. It could be things like working conditions, paying a living wage, how many incidents of injury happened last year. Ethics, you'd want to talk about any incidents of corruption, what percentage of employees were trained on ethics, and even IT stuff, like how many big breaches happened last year. And then suppliers, you're going to want to talk about how many suppliers you have. How many suppliers do you work with that have a clause about being good for the environment and protecting the workers in your supply chain? So you can tell there's a lot. What percentage of people have signed a code of conduct at your business that you work with? If you're a larger company, you need to do coverage too. So it's great that you have lots of sites and lots of employees, but what percentage of them actually get some of this stuff we're talking about? So that's under coverage and reporting. And then step 4 is alignment. You would want to make sure that all of the things you're doing in sustainability are aligned to something. So it could be the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. It could be the IFRS. It could be GRI or CSRD. I'm naming some acronyms, but these are basically worldwide acceptable standards or frameworks that we as a company would, show our stuff in. So it's, when you think about it, you can think of an Excel table or so on. So reality check in-house. That seems like a lot of work. Somebody's got to learn it, multiple meetings and so on. It's doable. But I'm going to be completely honest with you. I've been doing this for a couple years now, seen a lot of awesome clients across all those different industries, different sizes from 2 people to 175,000 employees. And the theme that I see is if you do it in-house, it's a lot of work. And typically people score between 25% in the first year to maybe 55% in the first year doing it alone. And so I think there's this threshold or this learning where companies don't know what EcoVadis is looking for yet, or they're spending too much time and missing things and didn't upload things right. And therefore, in that first year, if you do it in-house, I'm honestly seeing a lower score versus working with a consultant like us, This Rock. On average, we help companies improve their score, 40% or so on. We actually did a rewind back to last year, and our average score when we worked with clients was approximately 79%, which is awesome. So, of course, that varied. That was so many clients that we worked with, but we know how to display how your company does in sustainability, and we're super proud of helping reflect that in your EcoVadis score. So, is it really cheaper to do it in-house or DIY versus hiring a consultant? Well, the costs of in-house versus a consultant are obviously different. If you do it in-house, it's the time of the people doing it. But I think there's also this carried risk that you have if you're doing it. You're giving them a load of work that they likely haven't had to do before, don't know a ton about. There's a lot of new stuff in there, a lot of stuff they got to figure out. So it does become this like make work project, what I've seen in the past. And then usually that can lead to that lower score I was talking about and maybe lost business. So usually why EcoVadis comes about for a company like yours is, like I mentioned, one of your clients that you've worked with for many years needs you to have an EcoVadis score, or maybe it's a new RFP. And you got to tell them how you scored in EcoVadis. So that could be lost business if you didn't meet their expectations. Sometimes there are minimum EcoVadis scores that you need in order to be competitive and try to win that new business. The other thing that I've noticed, which is my favorite part, is I actually have seen ROI on energy savings, waste savings, and so on after a consultant or like our business has worked with clients for a year or 2 or even 3. So not just doing sustainability to check the box and make sure you're meeting these new requirements, but now also saying, hey, we've looked at your energy for a year or 2. I actually think there's a way you can reduce your energy spend here to save your business money and also, help to start reduce your emissions over time. So yes, there is money ROI in this by doing good as well. So My final thought is yes, of course, you can do it in house. You can do a lot of these things in house, but I think support makes a huge difference. The support of a consultant who's not only done sustainability for a company like yours before, but knows how to work a project to get things into EcoVadis on time, to make sure that you're relaying to EcoVadis what you already do. What I've experienced is a lot of companies are doing things already that are sustainable, but they've never written them down before. They've never taken photos, of that new fan that's helping to save energy, for example, or they've never told anybody about the ethics training all their employees go through, or weekly phishing tests for cybersecurity. So we help you get all that stuff down. All right. I hope this video was helpful to you. The reason that I made it is I am seeing a lot of companies start out by trying to do it in-house, and then they come to us, which we're so happy about, to see if we can help them increase their score. So if this is you, I just wanted to throw my thoughts down in this video to explain why I've seen companies choose a consultant over doing it DIY in-house. It really just saves time, less hair pulled out from your team. And honestly, at the end of the day, you set up a nice looking sustainability strategy at your business that can help you for years to come, because sustainability is not going away as a requirement. All right. If you ever have any questions, please let me know. Again, my name is Lindsay Hampson. I'm the president of This Rock. And if you want to have a 15-minute call, I'd be happy to anytime. All right. Thanks again, and see you later.